Guys, can we have a round of applause for Tin, Cupcake Central? Thank you very much, Tin. Thanks for joining us for the Q&A. Basil's going to join us. Basil works for the marketing team at MyOp, so Basil's got a few questions as well. Feel free to throw any questions at Basil as well. But yeah, Basil, do you want to kick us off for the Q&A?
I can kick us off. So, obviously business is hard and we focus on the challenges in starting your own business. But I'd love to know what's been your most rewarding moment?
You know what? I think one of the most rewarding moments is actually, it's actually quite funny, yeah, because when I first started my business, I had to go to my mum and ask for some money. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not going to tell you, oh, we started from nothing in there. I had to borrow $100,000 from my parents. And them being immigrants, it means a lot to them. You know what I mean? $100,000 is not just like $100,000. It's pretty much everything they had. And the first thing my mum goes to me, you're like, who's going to buy a cupcake for $4? I buy bread roll for $2 in Springvale. Yeah. So it's funny because it's true. It's actually very true. To get back to that, what she said, it was kind of like, you know what, my mum, like I said, was very conservative, okay? So being able to show my mum that my parents that I was able to do it was probably one of the most rewarding things in my, in my journey. And I'm still doing it every day, just making your parents proud, just being able to actually take the idea and turn it into something that they can go, hey, that's my son, and that's his business. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. I'd like to know a little bit about you as the person. You talked about some of your skills as well. Yep. You talked about being the creative type. What else what are the attributes of you as being the person, the human being that actually helps in day-to-day business running?
It's funny, yeah, because a lot of people ask me, what do I do on a day-to-day basis? And I always just tell them, I just smile.
Smile counts for a lot, right?
Exactly right. So, my job is, one of the day-to-days is, I bring a lot of creativity to the company, but I also help to set culture for the business too. So I spend a lot of time with the staff. So as much as having a business is challenging, you have to work with people within your business. So if you have a team of 70 people, you actually have to sit down and invest your time into the people in the business because they're the ones who help you run your business. So I spend a lot of my time working on the staff, the management level, finding out, what is it they want to do, what do they want to achieve, and how can I meld that into Cupcake Central, and how can we, as an ethos of the company, help them hatch their dreams too. So that's one of the few things that I do, but I think very, very important that a lot of people neglect. Yeah. Are
people able to have those conversations with you quite openly in terms of for example, if their interests or their future dreams lie outside of Cupcake Central, are they able to speak on an open
100%
platform with you?
I always tell people, if you have a side hustle, what they call side hustle, or anything else that they're interested in, do it. Yeah. Pursue it, I have no problems if people want to do something on the side. How can I help you to do your things? To give you a prime example, we have a lot of people who worked in the business and they were graphics designers or social media people or marketers. And you know what? If we can help you, actually give you some experience in terms of that, we'll actually, come do some work with Cupcake Central. You know what I mean?
It's quite a valid thing because we've had a lot of people in our audience over the last few series where they're scared to have those conversations with people and bring that up. They have side hustles and they're keeping it on the low down. So I think it's good to give people that confidence.
I think it's just more setting it in your culture at the early on, because I think it's really prevalent from us as the directors of the company that we started from a side business. That why shouldn't your staff have a side business too? Everyone has the ability to take their dreams and turn it into reality. Hence why it's Hatch That Dream.
Yeah. Excellent. Before I put it out there, Basil, have you got anything else you want to?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Founders obviously need grit and determination to be successful in business. That's one key thing. You've obviously got a great blend of strategy and creativity. Yep. What other key characteristics do you think that founders need to have success in their business?
I think you need to be a little bit pragmatic. So you need to take a step back sometimes. Yes, it's like I said before, it's good to be gung-ho, but I think you need to sometimes take a step back and look at it from an objective view from the outside. You know, sometimes you may think your idea is the best idea in the world, but step back and then look at the analysis behind it. Is it actually a good idea? Is it the best option available? Is this the right way? Does this strategy or this idea work in line with your values or where you want to actually get through to your business? Yeah.
Cool. Values are always cropping up, so before I throw it out there to the audience, I'll maybe just touch upon values for Cupcake Central, and what are your values and how do you communicate them to customers and employees?
So we have 3 values in the Cupcake Central, which is the quality, the experience, and aspiration. So quality is self-explanatory. Sorry, give me a second, someone's trying to give me a call in the middle of this. So quality is one, and you know what? Quality from everything we do in terms of the business, you know, from the way that we present ourselves to what we put in terms of our product, to the way the staff that perceive themselves. The experience is one. Same with Frunch. It's all about the experience. That's why we chose to put open kitchens into all our stores, because we wanted to show people that we actually have our bakers there, fresh in the morning, made there all the time. And then when they come in, it's like, you know, buying bread from a place that gets bread shipped in, or like buying fresh bread at a bakery. You know, you get that whole experience, you get that smell, you see the pastry chefs wake up in the morning, and then the aspiration. Yeah, so, you know, we want it to be an aspirational product and quality in terms of us, you know, like being the best, being leaders in terms of our industry. And that's what I said when we wanted to open up Cupcake Central. We wanted to be the best cupcake store in the world. Not just Melbourne, not just Australia, in the world. Yeah.
Great stuff. So I'm going to put it out to the audience now. So has anybody got any questions for Tin, please? Gentleman at the back. So if we...
Do you take any inspiration from all you talk about? You want to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
Like world best practice, like voodoo donuts in the States.
Oh, we take inspiration from everywhere. I think that's one of the biggest things that we do. We look at creativity from everywhere, and that's kind of like my job. I always look at what's trending in the market, what is happening over here. And sometimes it's not even, like you said, it might be a donut trend or somewhere in macarons. It might not even be related in food, but we're always trying to look at things around the world to see, or anywhere, you know, New York, Asia, and then try to blend it into Cupcake Central. Sometimes, like, the biggest thing is you don't need to reinvent the wheel too. Yeah, you just have to, you know, piece together a few things and make the wheel look different.
That's cool. Anybody else with a question out there? Just at the back for us.
Just been looking on the Facebook side.
Yeah.
Those pictures are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. We've got a social media girl doing that.
So I gym 7 days a week, but I'm going to gym after here. But I'll be in. It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's a new customer there.
Yeah. Don't worry, I have to go to the gym 3-4 times a week too to keep off the cupcakes.
So, any other questions? Yes, gentleman at the front there.
Yeah, as a creative guy, how do you sort ideas between the ones that are worth pursuing and the one that should be dropped?
Simple, I put a dollar value next to it. Yeah, so that's why if I've got a ton of ideas, but I look at which is the best, I guess sometimes I categorize all my ideas and I'll look at which ones, you know, are the quick low-hanging fruit that we can execute quickly, or some of the long-term things that we take time. But I think we also sit down as a team to decide which one will have the best benefit for our customers and our brand and our business too at the same time.
Good question, great answer. Any other questions? Yes, lady at the front there.
So I would like to know the reason why you choose the business as cupcake, and what's the motivation about what you choose this one, and the following question is maybe also background, can you story or long story?
So just, I got the first question, but what was the second question again? I just missed that.
Second, I guess
Motivation.
is about your identification or what happened to make you to choose the cupcakes.
Oh, okay, so look, I think ever since I was a kid, I probably didn't know this, but I've always was an entrepreneur. but it just happened to be Cupcake Central was the vehicle to allow me to express myself. So when we were young, it's funny, because when you're a kid, you don't know, I was 16 or 17, I think about that. We used to import cars from Japan and then sell them for double the price here. And when you're a 17-year-old, you don't realize that's actually business. And I figured out, working for a pizza shop for about $8-10 an hour, or I could buy a car from Japan for $7,000 and then sell it here for $14,000. I worked out how many hours I would work to actually make that money. But when I was young, I think the motivation was there always. I just didn't have the business to do it. And Cheryl, my business partner, back then my ex-girlfriend, came up with the idea. So I like creating ideas, not so much coming up with the ideas. If you kind of know, it's like I guess it's a bit of a conundrum, if you know what I mean. I've never come up with any business ideas myself, but when I actually find something I enjoy, I'll actually roll with it, and I'll put myself and put my time in it, and then actually just think about the box. I like taking that idea and then making that idea into reality, and that's kind of like my skill. That's why I decided to work with other different businesses and a few other different brands and stuff there too.
So the first question
Yes.
is why you choose the business and Cupcake, and is that with others?
I saw a gap in the market. Yeah. So I saw that, when we looked at cupcakes, I thought it was like, okay, there was a trend in that period where cupcake stores were coming out, and I thought, I want to do this. And I said, we'll pick this business, cupcakes, it's emerging, it's coming through from America, it's coming into Melbourne, let's do this. If we don't do this now, then you'll just fall behind the trend. You'll be back. Yeah.
You didn't take up lots of time to think about I choose
No.
the Cupcake.
No, it probably came from idea to conceptualize to the store, and I think about 6 months. I think that there. Yeah. No worries. Any other questions?
So your role in the business now is CFO, is it?
No, I'm actually more of the CEO of the company.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but we have an external accounts team and and finance controllers externally, but I work alongside them still to look at the numbers every day. Because even if you're being the CEOs, you need those numbers to drive your business. So every single day we're looking at profit and losses. We're looking at what we're taking in the sales. How can we better increase 1% here? How do we decrease labor costs? How do we get more efficiencies out? How do we drop COGS? Things like that.
Yeah, because I just thought that sort of roles and looking at numbers every day, it doesn't, and creativity.
Yeah, they don't go hand in hand, and I think that's why it's good. Like I get that little bit of advantage is that I make my decisions based on the numbers that run the company, and then you use that creativity based on your numbers. So if you've got an area here that needs help, use your creativity to think outside the box to how to solve that problem. Any other questions?
I've got a question. Yeah. Do you compartmentalize your time based on the creative business ideas as to more strategic? How do you...
I think at the moment it's probably split between, I'd say 80-20. With creativity, it's always around you. Do you know what I mean? Like I might be walking around through the city or just seeing something here or an advertisement here or just something off like Facebook or just what I read. It'll always be there, but I spend a lot of my time more on strategy for the company and execution of the strategy because we're a little bit more established now, it's more about just refining our processes and then growing and getting it to a scale. But creativity is always important. It's always running in the background. You know what I mean? You take a little bit from everywhere. You take a little bit from every single person you meet or whatever you see or whatever you read.
Mm-hmm. And going back a little bit as well in that talk, you talked a little bit about not wanting to scale too much and concentrate on quality.
Yeah.
What was the key identifier when you realized that the reason why you didn't want to scale any larger?
I think during that period also, we saw a lot of cupcake businesses fold. So they've gone into bankrupt or administration stuff. And we said, you know what, we do not want to go into that route at all. So seeing how the bigger players fell, kind of gave us the opportunity to take it easier. So it wasn't always like big jumps, big growth. It was steady growth across the company over a few years that has kept us on top of the game now. While everyone else is gone, we're still around.
Outlive the competition.
Yep.
Cool. Any other questions?
Can I ask what's the key reason to make you have the successful business? I mean, so what's the biggest difference with another company?
I think one, we actually, I probably couldn't give you one reason why. I'd probably give you a few reasons why. I think we sell our values very, very well. We talk to our customers very, very well. We are transparent in what we do in the ingredients. And I think those three things really, really put us out in the market in front of our competitors. And I think also location plays a part too, where we strategically put our stores across Melbourne. You know, central CBD location, Hawthorn, Fountain Gate, Eastland and High Point. They're all in like key hubs through Melbourne, rather than sporadically putting your stores in different areas that might not work. So there was a lot of research done beforehand before we put our stores there. And not all of it all goes right either. You know, you might do all these forecasts and these analysis, but sometimes you don't even hit your targets.
You talked a little bit, talking about location, but you talked a little bit about store fit outs and getting the right advice early. Paying for that has been one of the key things that you go back and tell yourself. What is it that you could maybe tell the audience if they're thinking of a physical store and those key ingredients to getting that up and out the door?
Do it cheaply. These stores, like one of the biggest things with fit outs and designing stores and stuff is that your budget will blow out very, very quickly. If you know, sometimes you just have to pare everything back. You know, I was super creative. You know, I've spent a lot of money on some different stores, and you know what? If I could go back and do it again, I'd probably do it a lot cheaper. Yeah, because sometimes you don't need those gold tiles that you like on those cabinets and stuff, and it doesn't actually add any value into your store. I'd rather have operational flow and ease of use. Like, so not want to say ease of use, but like making it easier for your make it more practical for your staff to work in would probably be the best thing when we're doing designing store fit outs now. And then making it, using materials that are more easily sourced so you can actually turnkey the stores faster.
Good one. So businesses find it hard sometimes to communicate how they differentiate from their competitors. Yeah. Was that a clear focus of yours with Cupcake Central early on?
Yeah, 100%. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And I think it was that focus and that desire with those three values didn't change from the very beginning.
Cool. With the store fit outs then, just touch on that again. In terms of relationship building, did you have to speak to the right people, and how do you get to those people within those key hubs that you were talking about?
100%. It's all about relationship building, and that's kind of like what I love doing, just going out there, meeting people. They always say, yeah, you're only as wealthy as your networks. So that's kind of like one of the biggest things that I follow is that the more people that I had to go out and speak to, the more that I knew, the more people I met, you know. I didn't know how to build stores at the very beginning, but we spoke to a friend of a friend that happened just to sit down with us and took me through all the steps on how to build a store. And, you know, it comes from just going out there just to speaking to people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it.
Asking those people that have done it before.
Exactly right.
Cool. Guys, we're coming towards the end now. We do have space for one more question. If somebody, we can.
Are there any risks that you first started your business, and how did you manage them?
Plenty of risk when we first started our business. And how did I manage it? Probably closed my eyes and ignored it. No, I'm joking. I think early on, with any entrepreneurs, we're quite naive in terms of the risk. So I did do a little bit of analysis, and we looked at like, what are your legal implications? You know, is there enough money to run the business, the cash flow? You do sit down. You have to actually sit down and figure out how much risk there is into the business, you know, and how much are you willing to lose? So I always ask that question. If you're willing to run this business, are you willing to put up, like, say, $500,000 you're willing to lose? Or are you willing to lose 100,000? Simple.
In your case, were you willing to lose your parents' money and having that risk and hanging over you?
No.
So you had to be proper serious about that one, didn't
Correct.
you? Yeah.
And one of the biggest drivers was when I borrowed that money from my parents, there was no in your head, I'm going to fail. People talk about failure. Yes, there is failure in learnings, what I call learnings, but there was no, in my head was, there's no way I'm going to ever lose this money. You got to wake up at 4 a.m. to do your job, you wake up at 4 a.m. You got to find innovative ways to draw more markets into your business, you do that because there's a driver in the back of your mind. And sometimes I find when you work for that higher purpose, it helps motivate you to get out of bed every single day or helps you take that next step. And it kind of takes away that little bit of that fear behind you.
Awesome. Excellent. We'll leave it on that one. So guys, thank you for coming this evening, but can we have a round of applause for our guest speaker this evening, Tin of Cupcake Central.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
No worries.